Suicide, weird, Courtney, pretty weird, not incriminating on its own. I remember following your husband's death and your possession was found a piece of paper on which you've been practicing. His handwriting. What have you been practicing? I haven't been practicing the last fucking 4 lines of this suicide note. How do you explain that? You did it, just admit it. You killed Kirk. You did it. You are fucking complicit. It's a catchy chorus, isn't it? It's a fucking catchy chorus. Convincing, isn't it? I know I'm convinced by it more often than I'm not, but then I am particularly vulnerable to these kinds of stories. You know, there is a question that smart people ask themselves every day. Multiple times a day. I would call this, in fact, the question that keeps a smart person smart. I ask myself this about once every 6 or 7 years. What if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong? What if reality is exactly as it seems? What if 9/11?
No, God.
Close the doors. Bring down the fucking PowerPoint.
Please.
What if 9/11 wasn't an inside job carried out by the American military-industrial complex against its own people to justify a series of power grabs in the Middle East? What if it was a reaction to decades of aggression, centuries of imperialism? What if JFK was not assassinated by one man? One lonely, confused man who preferred the reality inside his head to the reality outside of it? I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Who wanted to be a hero? I can relate to that as well. Who probably died not understanding why he wasn't a hero and why everyone was so mad at him. Kurt Cobain had a genetic predisposition to, in no particular order, substance abuse, paranoia, depression, anxiety, not to mention, he was a member of the music industry. These qualities would put any single one of us at particularly high risk of suicide. You know what? You might be the people who have delivered that with the correct amount of, neutrality. In the past, some audiences have just been like, suicide? Why is this happening?
Why is this happening?
And some audiences are like, yeah, suicide!
Okay, what does that say about Seattle?
I screwed on correctly. Suicide, that's right. Simple. Tiny, most boring of all, it just makes sense. We are vulnerable to these stories, partly because we stack enough of these stories one on top of each other to block out the bigger story. And that is the story that is as terrifying as it is verifiably true. And that is that we are marooned out here. Stranded on a rock in the middle of nowhere. Bad things are going to keep on happening to good people until one day the best thing is going to happen to all the worst motherfuckers at once. An asteroid will hit. Maybe it won't. Maybe the ice caps will melt. Maybe they won't. Maybe we won't put enough money into developing new medicines, some sort of super virus will wipe us all out. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll survive all of those things. Doesn't matter. One day the sun's going to explode.
Can't wait. He did not get this.
Weird. One day the sun's going to explode and there is no hope of rescue or escape, because who is there to rescue us? Where is there to escape to? We are not taught how to deal with these things. We're left to our own devices to come up with ways of distracting ourselves.
Like conspiracy theories.
Sex and drugs and rock and roll. Got a bigger cheer for the universe in it.
luck.
Actually, Narcissist Cookbook, we're beyond sex and drugs and rock and roll here, okay? We've moved on to something you don't even have a word for in the United Kingdom.
Oh, yeah.
Sex and drugs and rock and roll. That's just what works for most of us. For some of us, that is not enough. Those are the people who kill presidents. Those are the people who blast their brains out over the family home, while people like me, you know, arseholes, the intrepid keyboard detectives willing to say the things no one else is willing to say, because we can see the things that no one else is willing to see, will explain to anyone who will listen with unbearable smugness and unrepentant mind that Courtney did it.